There's a retired Army Ranger I know, 2 combat deployments, 14 years in, and the first thing he did when COVID lockdown started wasn't go to Costco, wasn't Amazon. He drove straight to Tractor Supply. In about 3 minutes, I'm going to show you the exact item he grabbed first, and it's not what you think. Number 3 on this list is something you probably already have at home, but you've been storing it completely wrong, and that mistake could cost you everything. And the one that shocked me most? It's sitting right now in the livestock aisle, costs under $12. And most preppers walk right past it because they don't know what it's actually for. Here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. When things go sideways, grid down, supply chain breaks, civil unrest, Walmart is gone in under 4 hours. Every prepper knows that. But Tractor Supply? Most civilians don't even think about it. A friend of mine who spent 22 years in the 75th Ranger Regiment told me, Tractor Supply is the most underestimated store in America during a crisis. The stuff in there lasts longer, hits harder, and the crowd won't come until it's already gone. That window closes fast. We're talking 6 hours, maybe less in a dense area. Number 7 on this list is useful. Number 3 will save your life. And number 1? Most preppers have never even considered it. Let's go. This one sounds like it's for your goat. It's not. Oral electrolyte powder sold for calves and livestock is chemically near identical to what the military issues soldiers for heat exhaustion and dehydration recovery. The Dervé brand, $17.99 at Tractor Supply, contains sodium, potassium, and glycine at ratios that work faster than Pedialyte. In a grid-down scenario, dehydration kills before starvation. People forget that. You can go 3 weeks without food. You go 3 days without water, maybe 1 day in summer heat, before your brain stops working and your decisions turn deadly. A former 18 Delta Special Forces medic, 2 tours in Afghanistan, told me straight, we'd have killed for this stuff in the field. Civilians don't know it exists because nobody markets it to them. And a 4LB bag? That's roughly 60 to 80 servings. Try finding that value at CVS right now. But if you think that's unexpected, wait until you see 6. Because this one is on the shelf every single time. And it disappears first in every documented disaster scenario we've studied. Quick reminder, we're still building to HEIS 1. That's the item the Ranger grabbed before anything else. And when I tell you what it is, you're going to feel like you've been missing something obvious for years. Stay with me. This isn't about keeping animals in. It's about keeping threats out. A solar-powered electric fence charger, the Zariba 5-mile solar unit sits right around $89 at Tractor Supply, gives you a functioning perimeter defense system that runs with zero grid power indefinitely as long as the sun comes up. In a grid-down collapse lasting more than 72 hours, home defense stops being theoretical. It becomes your full-time job. You cannot be awake 24 hours a day. Your family can't either. A perimeter alert system, even a simple one, means you sleep, and sleep means you survive. A former Marine Corps scout I know set one of these up around his property line during the 2020 unrest in his city. Single strand of wire, 6 T-posts, took him under 2 hours, he said. Nobody got close to my house that night, not one person. The charger, the wire, the T-posts, all of it is in the same aisle. You can be walking out the door with a functional perimeter system in one cart now. Let's talk about SH5, because this one's about water, but not the way you're thinking. You've got water stored, maybe 20 gallons, maybe 30. Here's the problem, it's not enough, and you know it. The Rubbermaid 100-gallon stock tank, $79, sometimes less, is one of the single most cost-efficient water storage solutions available to civilians. And nobody's fighting over it in an emergency because nobody thinks of it as a water container. FEMA's own internal guidance, the stuff they don't put in the brochures, recommends 1 gallon per person per day minimum. That's just drinking. Add sanitation, cooking, wound care. You're at 3 to 5 gallons per person. For a family of 4, for just 2 weeks, you need 280 gallons minimum. One of these tanks, filled before the crisis hits, covers a significant gap, and it fits in a garage, a barn, under a tarp. A 100-gallon tank costs $79. A water delivery truck post-collapse, if you can even find one. People have traded firearms for water in documented disaster scenarios. Let that sink in, Bridge, okay? We're at the halfway point, and I promised you that HEIS 3 is something you already own but are storing wrong. We're almost there. But first, 4 is something most preppers completely ignore, and it's one of the most dangerous gaps in any bug-in plan. And just so you don't lose the thread, HEIS 1 is still coming. The thing the Ranger grabbed first. One of the guys I talked to for this video laughed when I asked him about it. He said, man, civilians are going to feel so stupid when they hear this. We're almost there. This one's going to make some people uncomfortable. Good. Veterinary-grade amoxicillin, sold legally over the counter at Tractor Supply under brands like Thomas Labs Fish Mox, is pharmaceutical-grade antibiotic, identical in composition to what your doctor prescribes. The FDA doesn't require a prescription for veterinary use. In a grid-down scenario lasting more than 2 weeks, infection is one of the top killers. A cut that gets dirty, a tooth abscess, a UTI that goes untreated. These are survivable with basic antibiotics and lethal without them. A retired Army combat medic I spoke with, 18 years in, including time at Fort Bragg, said, "The number one thing civilians are missing in their medical kit isn't a tourniquet. It's antibiotics. Because the tourniquet stops the bleeding. Nothing stops an infection if you don't have the drug. Get dosage guidance from a physician now while you still can. Store it correctly, cool, dark, dry, and know that most antibiotics remain highly effective well past their labeled expiration date. That's documented. Look it up, and I promise this would hit close to home. You probably have seeds at home, and if they're not heirloom, non-hybrid seeds, you're holding something that will fail you in year 2. Tractor Supply carries open-pollinated, heirloom seed varieties in their garden center. These are seeds you can save, replant, and grow indefinitely. Hybrid seeds, the kind at most grocery stores, produce plants that don't reproduce true, meaning you can't replant them and get the same crop. In a multi-year collapse scenario, hybrid seeds are a one-season dead end. Most preppers stockpile food. Smart preppers stockpile the ability to make food. Those are different things, completely different survival timelines. A Vietnam-era vet I know grew up farming. Served 2 tours, went back to farming, told me. In a real collapse, the man with seeds and the knowledge to use them is the new banker. He's the most powerful man in any community. The Romans stored seeds in military fortifications. Every major civilization collapse in recorded history saw seed saving become the critical survival skill within 90 days. Every single one, we've got 2 left, and both of them will surprise you. *2 is something most preppers spend hundreds of dollars trying to replicate, when the real version is sitting at Tractor Supply for under $30. And then we get to *1. The one the Ranger grabbed first. I'm not going to drag it out much longer. This is the one that made a former Green Beret laugh when I asked if civilians knew about it. They don't. Food-grade Diatomaceous Earth, $28 to $35 for a 50-pound bag at Tractor Supply, is one of the most versatile collapse prep materials you can own. It kills stored food insects without chemicals. It can be used as a mechanical insecticide around a perimeter. It has documented use in wound care and austere environments, and it extends the shelf life of your grain and bean stores by months, sometimes years. Here's the math. You spend $400 on freeze-dried food. You store it improperly. Insects, humidity, or rodents get in, and 30% of it is compromised inside 18 months. A $28 bag of food-grade DE properly applied can prevent that entirely. Authority Ancor, a retired Special Forces logistics sergeant I interviewed, said, "We use this stuff in places you've never heard of, for reasons OSHA wouldn't approve. It does things civilians don't even know to ask about. It's in the livestock pest control aisle. Most people think it's just for chicken coops, and now, #1. This is what the Ranger grabbed first, and when he told me why, everything clicked. The Bernzomatic TS8000 propane torch kit, about $54 at Tractor Supply, combined with a stack of 1LBLP cylinders, gives you on-demand high-BTU fire that works in wind, rain, and cold. It ignites wet wood. It lights a camp stove in seconds. It works as a field expedient soldering tool for repairs. It can sterilize instruments. It can melt snow for water at scale. But here's the part civilians miss. In a collapse, fire starting becomes one of the most labor-intensive, time-consuming survival tasks you'll face. If you're spending 45 minutes trying to make fire, you're not doing anything else. You're not on watch. You're not with your family. You're not thinking clearly. The torch eliminates that problem completely. Every time the Ranger I mentioned at the top, he told me, I can start a fire with a rock and a shoelace if I have to. But when the grid drops, I'm not going to. I'm going to have a torch. Because time is the real currency in a collapse. And I'm not spending it making fire like it's 1850. A former 160th SOAR crew chief, the Night Stalkers, looked them up, said the same thing differently. Amateurs practice skills. Professionals stack redundancies. The torch is a redundancy. It costs $54 and it never fails. The 1L cylinders go fast. Grab a case of 12 if you can. That's less than $75 and it covers you for months. The one nobody talks about, there's one more thing on the shelf at Tractor Supply that almost nobody mentions in prepper circles, and I almost left it off this list: livestock wound spray. Vetericin Plus, $14.99. It's a hypochlorous acid wound irrigant. Broad-spectrum antimicrobial. FDA cleared for humans, sold for animals. Used by veterinary surgeons and field medics in a grid-down medical situation, when you can't get to a hospital, when you're 3 days into treating a wound that won't close. This is in your kit or it's not. There is no substitute at that price point. A combat medic friend put it this way: if this stuff had a human label on it, it'd be $60 at CVS. It's $15 because it has a picture of a dog on it. That's the only difference. Write that down. Look, Tractor Supply isn't the only store your competitors have gotten wrong. In my next video, I'm going through the 5 items at Rural King and Fleet Farm that are even harder to find post-collapse. And one of them is something a former Delta Force operator told me he keeps 3 of in every vehicle he owns. That video drops soon. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it when it goes live, because when the grid goes down, the guys who already know, they're already loaded up. Don't be the guy figuring it out in the parking lot at 3 a.m.